Hello, warm season's greetings from the River Serpentine here in Hyde Park. It's a fine, crisp December day, not unlike a day a few months ago when we were here for the City of Westminster Serpentine Regatta. Now, if you recall, it was October, a few days after a hurricane had ripped through the capital, causing the worst damage since records began. Trees were uprooted, some of them fell on the boats here, causing thousands of pounds worth of damage. Well, after a lot of hard work by the organisers, the regatta got underway. It was a day of top-class international competition, a day of fun as well. And with me on the day was one of our national coaches, Steve Gunn, guiding us through the various events. The idea is to use this marvellous venue we have in Hyde Park to show to the public what a great sport rowing really is. We've assembled international teams of the very highest level, domestic events and also fun events to show that the sport can be fun, entertaining and really exciting and a good sport to watch. Teams from Europe here and from the Soviet Union, but how strong is the competition? The competition is very strong indeed. The Soviet team especially is full of world and Olympic gold medalists, the stars being the Pimenov brothers, and the British team has our own Olympic gold medal winners, Redgrave and Holmes in it. The Italian and French teams are also very strong. Steve, thanks very much indeed. We'll see the fun events in a moment, but let's first concentrate on the international events and remind ourselves of the international teams. The Great Britain team includes two of the finest oarsmen in the world, Stephen Redgrave and Andy Holmes. Toughest competition today comes from the Soviet Union with the Pimenov brothers. The Italians are led by world and Olympic champion Giuseppe Abagnale. And the French are here, always successful at junior level, now hoping to make an impression at senior level. So let's join our first international race of the day. Our commentator is Phil Liggett.
And the four nations on the start line for the first of 6 international races this afternoon. A difficult one for the coxes on this windy day. Here's Pat Sweeney, the Great Britain cox.
On this one, with such a strong crosswind, it's going to be the one who can keep the nerve as we come off the start, because we're going to be getting blown around, so that's going to be a major factor. The other one is that because it's such a short race, you've got to come off fast, and there are some tactics that you're going to have to push again at the halfway. We're going to have to keep it lively all the way down the course, and with such a strong wind, the likelihood is that people are going to get a bit mixed up in the crosswind and start throwing a lot of water around, so we're going to have to really make sure we push again about halfway.
And the words of Pat Sweeney there, and this is the British quartet, John Garrett, John Maxey, and the 2 Olympic champions, Andy Holmes and Martin Cross on stroke. You can just see the head there of Pat Sweeney, and he's in the front of the boat, unlike in the 8s, and it helps the run of the boat during the race. And there we have the Italians on the inside, seeming to be lagging at the moment. The face there of Martin Cross, the Olympic champion, sitting in front of Andy Holmes, the other Olympic champion. And they do seem to be pulling quite well. They've got the Russians on their right shoulder, and the Russians at the moment seem to be just ahead. Ivan Vysotsky, the world champion in 1985 at Home Pier Pont in Nottingham, and he's at the front of the boat, and he's pulling this boat well at the moment. The French also creeping into the picture. This is the Italians. They seem to be last of the 4 at the moment. That's something of a surprise. They've drawn the outside lane, lane number 4, which has been favoured by some of the club racing here earlier today. But the Russians have got the inside lane at lane number 1. They're feeling most of the wind, which is slightly off tail to cross. And the Russians clear, and the British seemingly dropping back in only 3rd place at the moment. Well, we expected this to be a much closer fight between the Russians and the British quartet. The French are intruding there, and it's going to be a clear victory here for the Soviet Union. 4 very valuable points in this opening match. The Soviet Union are clear. France will take 2nd. There's a surprise. And in 3rd place, Great Britain. So an excellent start for the Soviet Union with the Pimenov brothers on board. and I'm not surprised that Martin Cross there looks a little bit disappointed. So, a win there for the Soviet Union, a very good time of 1 minute 26.67, 3-second beating of France, and Great Britain only in third place. The situation then, after event number 1, 4 points going to the Soviet Union, 2 only to Great Britain, and 3 to France. The point system, by the way, 4-3-2-1 for the first 5 events, and then we are 10, 7, 5 and 3 for the last event, the 8s. So we come now to something of a charity race, the House of Commons, but there's nothing charitable here about actor Rodney Bewes.
Get ready for it. Come on, you bugger, pull.
And Rodney Bewes taking it very seriously indeed, with members from both sides of the House of Commons pulling together here for charity. The prize is £1,000, and it will go towards encouraging youth rowing. It was a short 500 metres dash along the Serpentine before they shipped oars. Bewes' boat was the winner, and he certainly was the best dressed man on the Serpentine.
You're well dressed for the occasion with your London Rowing Club cap.
The cap is very important, and you mustn't worry if you look like a wally. The cap is London Rowing Club, which I represent in London, and I represent the gigs in Cornwall. And I've been all over the world with this cap. I've rowed in Hong Kong Harbour in this cap, and it fell in Hong Kong Harbour. And it's priceless like the gigs.
Indeed it is, and now we're back with the internationals here, and this is round number 2, the international singles sculls, with Stephen Redgrave from Great Britain in lane number 1, this massive man, the Commonwealth Games champion. In lane number 2, Alain Moretto, who wears turquoise from the French team. Lane number 3, the Russian danger, Valery Desenko, a quads world champion. And on the far outside, the lesser known of the 3 Abagnale brothers, Agostinho Abagnale, the youngest. So they're all set to go. Short 500 metres sprint. And this should be a battle between the Russian Desenko here and Stephen Redgrave. Redgrave came away from the Commonwealth Games last year with 3 gold medals, 1 in this, the single scull. He'll be the man the Russian will have his eye on. Redgrave on the far right of the picture here. The Russian in the centre of the 3 other scullers. And remember, it was France who surprised last time with that fine second place in the opening match. And are they going to keep up that sort of pressure? At the moment, it doesn't appear so. It looks as though Redgrave's going very, very well on the bank side. And it does appear running to form here. The Russian Desenko in the centre. There he is. Glanced across there to see the whereabouts of Redgrave. This very strong wind is building up all the time here this afternoon, it making the going very, very choppy indeed. But Redgrave pulling extremely well on the far right and coming clear with the Russian. The other 2 are appearing now to be out of it. And again, it's Desenko watching Redgrave on his right. 3/4 distance now. Massive man, Stephen Redgrave. 6 gold medals at World, Olympic and Commonwealth Games competition level. And he's got a good half length here on Desenko. This is going to level the score perhaps, because remember, Great Britain only got 3rd in that opening race. And that was a little bit of a surprise, but he's coming clear for this one. So Redgrave is beginning to put Great Britain back on to a winning trail here, perhaps. He comes to the cheers of the crowd here, a length ahead. So Stephen Redgrave will be delighted with this. Victory over the Soviet Union's Valery Desenko, who takes 2nd place. And in 3rd place, the Italian Agostinho Abagnale. And there you can see the winning margin for Stephen Redgrave for Great Britain. And in fact, the judges have relegated Italy into 4th place because Abagnale jumped the gun.
Stephen, congratulations.
Thank you.
Was it very easy?
A race like that is never that easy. I was able to take it a little bit easy across the line. The Russian got a very good start. I didn't have a very good start. He got a slight lead on me. Coming into the last 100 metres, I just squeezed in front. He caught his blades and virtually stopped, and then it just made it an easy paddle across the line.
Did the wind affect you at all? It's a bit of a crosswind.
It's a nasty crosswind. It's not very nice, especially in a single. I'm not really looking forward to steering in the pair as well. It's going to make it very awkward. But should be no problems in the 8 for the steering-wise.
And that win brings Britain back into contention. They're now in 2nd place, a point behind Russia, who have 7, Britain 6, and France 5.
believe it or not, I'm sitting on the edge here of the oldest rowing boat in the world. It's a Cornish pilot gig, and the man who's piloting it today here at the regatta is John Borden. John, really, is it the oldest rowing boat in the world?
As far as we know, through all the records, it's the oldest boat still in existence and rowing competitively.
When was it built?
In 1812 by Mr. Peters of St. Paul in Cornwall.
It's a pilot gig. What does that mean?
Well, originally they used to pilot it. Every company in every harbour in Cornwall and some in Southern Ireland had a pilot company. They would race out to the sailing boats, put a pilot aboard, and they would also have the job of working the cargo, whichever company got there first.
Do you not worry about taking the oldest rowing boat in the world around with you? Something might happen to it.
We do worry a lot, but like everything else, if you kept the heirloom locked in the cupboard, nobody would ever see it, and why keep something beautiful for yourself?
John, thank you very much indeed. So we'll see the oldest rowing boat in the world, the Cornish pilot gig, racing with the men's crew later on.
And a light-hearted moment for the youth of the London boroughs in their jousting competition. But the City of Westminster here really playing their part in many sports this year. Athletics, cycling, show jumping, as well as sprint rowing. And now we go to the Dragon Boat semi-final, the first of 3 semi-finals, winner only going through to the 3-boat final. And this really is one of the unusual aspects of the Serpentine Regatta. This is the Northwich team in lane number 3. In lane 2 is the Tyne and Weir Rowing Club, and on the far right of our picture will be Way Rowing Club. And you notice here on the drummer in the Dragon Boat our head camera, and we'll promise you during the programme some very unusual and exciting shots. And there's one of them. Well, the Dragon Boats are something rather special, and they're becoming more popular all over Britain as Dragon Boat clubs are forming. And the champion prize in the final of this event today will be a trip to Hong Kong and the Dragon Boat Festival next year. And there can't be a finer first prize than that on the Serpentine today. And not surprisingly, the 20 paddlers here really putting their backs into it. Northwich at the moment, though, do not appear to be making all of that much headway. You can see the work being created here on our head camera, the drummer banging out the message. If we look back in history, in fact 2,000 years, then we go back to the time when they used the drummer to frighten the fish and hopefully save the man in the water. Well, there's nobody allowed to waste any energy here. The man on the tiller fighting to hold the Dragon Boat on course, because that in itself a feat of strength. Once the boat starts to wander off its lane, well, it really is quite a struggle to bring it back in a straight line, and you certainly lose way.
There, lads! Drive it on! Drive it on! All the way! More work! Harder! Under! Beginning!
And Northwich, it seems, on the inside, despite the help of the coach urging them on, it looks as though Way on the far right are leading with their dragon head just ahead of Tyne and Weir in the centre, who've come all the way down today, despite the hurricanes yesterday, to take part from Newcastle. Oh, 500 metres, there's no standard distance, of course, of dragon boat racing, but it's even so, it's a long way to the line today. 20 paddlers in the boat, the drummer, of course, and the man on the tiller, but this is going to be a good victory here for the Way Rowing Club on the far right. And it's going to be a half length over Tyne and Weir, and Tyne and Weir are wandering a little bit over to the left as they cross the line. And looking at the depth of the dragon boat in the water, it looks as though there might be a problem coming up there as well. But there is confirmation, a win for Way. They go through into the final. Tyne and Weir and Northwich go out.
From you! Driver, come on! Up yourself! Harder!
Welcome back to Hyde Park, where today we're looking back at the City of Westminster Serpentine Regatta. Along with the international competition that day, we really did have a lot of entertainment, provided by a variety of races in boats of all shapes and different sizes. Take these ones, for instance, the Dragon Race.
And the Dragons are raring to go here in the second semi-final, which is between Elmbridge in lane 1 on our far right, Thames Valley in the centre, and Richmond on the left. We already have Way through to a place in the final. Winner only, remember, goes through. The prize is an attractive trip to the Hong Kong harbour, part of the Dragon Boat Festival. Well, this is Richmond here, nearest the camera. one of the shortest travelled teams, a little bit further along the Thames today. Thames Valley in the white, and they're putting a lot of weight behind those paddles, and there's certainly plenty of it in the boat here. It's running a bit low in the water. It looks to me as though the drummer's conducting the orchestra, but the rhythm is right. At the moment, Thames Valley look as though they are in second place, certainly, pushing Elmbridge on the far right of our picture here for the lead. Richmond, it appears, are bringing up the rear. Well, plenty of support for this unusual sight. And just look at this. That's certainly the youngest drummer on the Serpentine today. Many dragon rowing clubs popping up all over Britain now. There aren't many boats. That is quite a serious problem, but the moulds for these particular boats sent over here by the Hong Kong Tourist Board, and I think it's fair to say in the next couple of years this will be one of the sports to watch out for. Already they're trying to gain recognition amongst the Sports Council as a proper sport. Certainly it's the biggest and most attractive prize today, the trip abroad. There's no denying that they're putting their backs into it. In fact, they will tell you that anybody can have a go. No particular skills required, they say. Some might disagree. Elmbridge now keeping the lead on the far side in the green. Thames Valley still the only challengers and coming up very, very well here. This is going to be a good finish. Winner only to go through, remember. Weyer already there. One more semi-final to come to make up the composition of the final. And the boys in green are clear. As they come up now towards the line, Elmbridge look as though they're going to take this one. There's a good challenge coming from Thames Valley, and Thames Valley are coming back on them. They're pushing Elmbridge all the way to the line. That's an excellent finish between Elmbridge and the Thames Valley, and that's going to go to the photograph. But there it is, a victory for the Elmbridge Canoe Club over Thames Valley, Richmond third. So it's Elmbridge who go into the final. Way are already through. And we can return now to the international team event. 6 events this afternoon, 2 already gone, and the USSR have 7 points, Great Britain 6 and France 5. And this is the third event, the international double sculls. And this should be quite a race. And in lane at number 1, we have drawn the Italians, Giovattini Suarez and David Tinzano. In lane 2, for the Soviet Union, Mikhail Ivanov and Igor Kotko. France have drawn lane 3, Francois Porte and Danielle Fauché, and the British pair in Great Britain in lane 4, Adam Clift and Sally Hassan. Clift, the most experienced member of the two, a world silver medalist with Martin Cross in 1985 and a Commonwealth Games gold medalist in the coxed fours as well. So Adam Clift and Sally Hassan, they're hoping to carry on the good work now set up by Stephen Redgrave. Remember, Russia won the opening match. Redgrave came good in the single sculls, and now we're in the double sculls, and Clift and Hassan, all members of the team, by the way, must row or scull in 2 of the 6 events, minimum, and maximum 3 of the 6 events. Well, it does appear this time France are well and truly out of this one. And we've got the British here in lane 4 on the left of our picture, just about holding the Russians at the moment. Mikhail Ivanov, the world champion in 85 and 86 in the quads, and Igor Kotko. And the Soviet Union are nosing ahead, but they're being challenged well here by the British. And coming through on the inside, Clift and Hassan are coming back well. Look at this now, neck and neck as they come up towards the line between the British pair on the near side of the camera and the Soviet pair. Right on the line, and that really is a photo finish. A marvellous finish indeed, and alongside me, part of the British team, Martin Cross.
Yes, and I'm still trying to get my breath back after that race, Phil. What a tremendous race. You can see there how they've just caught a crab in the water, very difficult conditions, rushing their blades along the surface of the water, yet still they're level with this Russian gold medal combination. The more experienced Cliftmen put at bow to try and urge Sally Hassan on, urge him on to greater efforts there. And I really wouldn't like to predict the result of this race.
Well, the British pair really fought all the way, but on the photo finish you can see here, they've lost it by the narrowest of margins to the Soviet pair. Italy are 3rd, and France are well out of it in 4th place. And that result has done this now to the overall competition. After 3 events, the Soviet Union have 11 points, increasing their lead by 1 point to 2 points over Great Britain. And a bird's eye view for us from the camera mounted on the head of Oxford Cox, Ruth Potter, and a chance for us to have a unique view of a very old tradition, the women's boat race between Oxford and Cambridge, and this over the measured course of 500 metres, not to be confused, of course, with their annual meeting at Henley on the Thames. So we can join Ruth, the Oxford Cox.
Squeeze. Sharp. 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 Lengthen. Lengthen. Sprinting out now. Sprinting out. You're level with them. You're level with them. You're pulling up on them. You're pulling up on them. Squeeze out now. Extending from the finish. Next stroke. Rhythm. Settle down. Settle down. Stay loose and long. You're with them all the way. You're with them all the way. I'm going through them. I'm at their 7. I want their 6. Give me their 6. Going through them. That's their 6. I want their 5. Squeeze on the finishes. And circling. That's their 5. I want their 4. Let's send from the finish. Send from the finish. That's their 4. I want their 3. Give me their 3. Squeeze through. Snap the legs down. That's their 3. I want their 2. Keep it sharp. Keep it sharp. Reaching up for the catch. Blades close to the water. That's their 2. I want their bow. Give me their bow. Squeezing out now on the finish. Keep it sharp. Keep it together. Keep it together. Stay long. Sending from the finish. Sending away. I want their bow. Give me their bow more. Squeezing out now. Squeezing out now. Sending from the finish. Sending from the finish.
And so squeals of delight there from the Oxford crew as they beat Cambridge, but it can all change, of course, by next March. And here are the Dragon boats back in the water for the third semi-final. Far right is the Kingston Royals, in the centre are Lincoln, and this is Wraysbury. Remember, only the winner going through to the final. Way and Elmbridge are already through, and this is the Lincoln Imps really powering their boat across the 500-metre course. Steady rhythm being beaten on the drum. Remember, we go back 2,000 years to the time when they tried to frighten away the fish in the hope they could rescue the men in the water. And if anything at all, this is really putting our cameramen to the test here. They're having to stay alongside with our new camera techniques here on the Serpentine. And I bet they've never seen anything like it. The head of a dragon on the far side, that is on the Kingston Royals, who seem to be at the moment fractionally in the lead over the Lincoln Imps. And Wraysbury are the ones that are going out of it. Well, we had one incident very early this morning at the end of a competition where one of these boats went down, and it's certainly the faster they go, the deeper they seem to go into the water. And this is Lincoln now, heads down, responding to the beat on the drum. They're right alongside the Kingston Royals, the two boats on the right of our picture. It looks as though Wraysbury are dropping out of this competition. Winner only through to meet Way and Elmbridge in the final. At the end of that, a trip to the Far East. So Wraysbury, Hong Kong, blazoned on the drum. I'm afraid it's not looking as though it'll be the case next year for them. They're out of it now. This is the race for first place. And the team nearest the camera, the Lincoln Imps. On the far side, the Kingston Royals. Here are the Lincoln Imps. The drummer there looking across at the danger boat of the Kingston Royals. This is going to be a marvellous finish. Both boats coming up to the line neck and neck. This will be the closest finish so far. And it looks as though it's going to be the Royals on the far side. They've got their head in front, but look at the challenge here from Lincoln Imps. Oh my goodness me, on the line, those boats have crossed almost neck and neck. That will certainly go to a photo finish. And here is that photo finish, and in fact, the referees have given Lincoln Imps nearest the camera the result. Kingston takes second place, so quite clearly they discounted the Dragon's head on the front of the Kingston boat. So from the Dragons, it's back to the highlights of the day, the international team racing, and this is the fourth event, the international coxless pairs. It really is the one that Stephen Redgrave has waited for.
It's very important you get off to a very clean start. It's very important that you get your rate of strike in as many strokes as possible. It's a very short race. You have to get in as many strokes as you possibly can. So it looks like crews are being very rushed. Probably the biggest opposition we've got here are the Pimenov brothers from Russia, who have been world champions and who finished third in the world championships this year. They're going to be the biggest oppositions, but the Italians and French are very, very good pairs.
And 500 metres is all it may be, but this pair here, Andy Holmes and Steve Redgrave, are facing their arch rivals, the Pimenov brothers from the Soviet Union, Yuri and Nikolai. The last two meetings have both gone in the favour of the two British boys. They beat them at Henley, but it took 2 races to do that earlier in the year, and they also beat them for the world title. Until then, the British boys had not won the world title. The Pimenovs had won it both in '85 and '86. So the world champions, Andy Holmes and Steve Redgrave, then facing their rivals as they come up to the midway point, and they really are neck and neck in the centre of our pictures. The Italians and the French, who seem to be out of it at the moment, but look at this, both boats almost level on the Serpentine here. A good solid stroke rate from the Soviet team, and they keep glancing across there where they can see the British boys right alongside them. They're going up the Serpentine here almost dead level. We've had some close finishes in these international matches all afternoon. This one is looking set to be the closest of the lot. We could well be seeing here a dress rehearsal for the final next year in Seoul between these two magnificent crews. The British boys hanging on to a very, very narrow lead here as the finishing line approaches. The Russians, though, are fighting well, and they could well come back as they come up to the line. The British boys are going to get this one, and this will give Great Britain 2 victories to the Soviet Union's double as well today. The British boys are over the line in first place, and that was a magnificent performance by Andy Holmes and Steve Redgrave, because again they've triumphed over the Pimenov brothers. Redgrave's face tells it all. Here's Martin Cross.
Yes, that's right. Steve will really be pleased after this result, because that will give him heart in his preparations for next year's Summer Olympics, when he's expected to race the Pimenovs. Always he sees rowing in terms of a gladiatorial struggle against not necessarily nations, but the particular crew that he's racing. And this will be no exception. Steve was very worried about this race. He thought he might lose because the Pimenovs are renowned to have a particularly fast first 500 metres. And you can see there in the finish of the race, Steve is using all his energy just to pull through in the last part of the race. The Pimenovs there having a bit of trouble catching the water. I think perhaps their boat might be too low rigged for them. They were complaining that they had a smaller boat which was to replace the one damaged in the storm. Nevertheless, Steve is going to be really pleased with this result.
And there it is, the margin that has given Great Britain victory in this round, ahead of the Soviet Union, Italy 3rd and France 4th.
Andy, many, many congratulations. A very, very close finish to a great race.
Oh, that was a some race, actually, yeah.
Well, what happened at the start? Did you get a good start?
Yeah, we got off very cleanly. We steamed away from them. Then after about 30 strokes, they just came charging back. It was amazing. And we thought, oh, God, you know, we've got a race on our hands now. You know, and then the last bit, we just managed to pick it up and scramble over in front, but it was a pretty odd affair.
And very satisfying to beat the Russians.
Yeah, it's really good. We've raced them 4 times and we've never lost to them. So even over the short distance, you know, it was still nice to beat them.
And there's the overall situation now, with that victory to Great Britain and Russia taking 2nd place. Russia still lead overall with 2 events to come by a single point ahead of Great Britain. And now we move on to the men's gig boat final. And from the lightweight shells of the racing boats, we go to a new style of racing boat, or perhaps more correctly, a very old style of racing boat, because these boats were built over 100 years ago. And 6 oars, there used to be 8 oars till there was an act of Parliament, because they simply went too fast with 8 oarsmen and the customs boats couldn't catch up with them. There's Buller, the new one of the fleet, built in 1986 in fact, and it's owned by Cadgwith here, where Rodney Bewes, the actor, lives, and he's on the shore at the moment shouting for his home team. 1,500 metres for the gig boats. That's from the start through the finishing line, turn around, go back down to the start area where they'll turn again before they come back up to the finishing line. These boats moored home on the open seas. In the early days, they used to row out as far as 100 miles carrying pilots to China tea clippers coming in. First pilot aboard was the man who got the job. But here on the flatter waters now of the Serpentine, it's Buller who makes the corner first, and this is at the 500 metres point, the finish line next time through, followed through by Bonnet and Newquay, the oldest boat, trying to go through there on the inside. But striking down towards the 1,000-metre point, Buller had built quite a clear lead. And at £7,500, the cost to build her last year, it looks as though it was all beginning to pay off. She made the turn down at the start point, and just 500 metres to go back up to the finish. The crew of Bonnet really did get stripped off for the occasion. But there was no holding Buller as it made the finishing line quite a few lengths ahead of Bonnet, with Newquay bringing up the rear. Rodney Bewes, his chance to claim the first prize.
Usually what happens is these boys take these boats, you know, many miles and race, and the prize is nothing. And the LEB kindly have donated a television set for our rowing club in Cadbury, which I think is a pretty good prize.
John Wilson, as chairman of the LEB, why did you and your company decide to become involved with this event?
Well, we've been looking for some time for an event to sponsor, and when Rowing Promotions approached us with this event on the Serpentine, we saw it as an event which would involve the whole of London, and it was an event which Londoners could participate in, taking place in the centre.
It must be the first time that we've had international competition and fun events taking place all at once on the Serpentine.
It certainly is, and I hope it's not going to be the last.
Are you enjoying the day?
Fantastic. When you bear in mind what this site looked like on Friday morning, I think it's remarkable that we've been able to put the event on at all.
Welcome back to Hyde Park, where we're recalling a day in October in the city of Westminster Serpentine Regatta. Now, it was a day that brought us a lot of fun, but also top-class international competition, as teams from Great Britain, France, the Soviet Union and Italy competed against each other.
And on the line now, event number 5 in the match between the four nations, the international quadruple sculls. In lane 1 in the orange, Great Britain. And they've drawn the inside lane, and the USSR here nearest the camera, they've got the outside lane, number 4. Italy are in 3 and France in lane 2. And this will be another strong test for this British quartet, Richard Stanhope, Mark Buckingham, Adam Cliff and Sally Hassan, because they're facing here the Russian world champions, Mikhail Ivanov, Sergei Kiniarkin, Valery Dosenko and Igor Kotko. And this is the actual team that won the world title in the quad sculls this year in Copenhagen. And it looks to me as though they've got off to a very good start, the Russians. This is the Italian team. We haven't seen too much of the Italians this afternoon. It really has been a battle between the two top nations, Great Britain on the right and on the left, the Soviet Union. Sally Hassan and Adam Clift second in the double sculls early. It looks to me there as though the British team caught a buoy, and that is going to hamper them as they're coming up towards the line. This is in favour of the Russians now. Russians pulling clear here. France again are out of this. Italy staying in with a chance, but it looks as though the Soviet team now are going ahead of Great Britain. Now, this is a shame because Great Britain were challenging for this overall trophy, but the Russian World Championship crew here pulling well clear of Britain, and it's Italy now in second place. Italy are going to get second, but there's no doubt about the winners this time, a length in favour of the Soviet Union. Second are Italy, and third are Great Britain. And that's rather a shame, really. Indeed, striking the buoy has cost the Britons dearly, but what about the technique of the Russians, Martin?
Yes, and a super close-up camera shot here allows us to see the difference between sculling and rowing. Here we've got sculling, where each man is holding 2 blades in his hands. Rowing, of course, you're just holding 1 blade, and this makes sculling a lot more difficult. And quad sculling, 4 people in the boat, of course, is the most difficult form of sculling you can have. And this Soviet quad is the best exponents in the whole world of this art. Tremendous crew to watch wherever they go.
Absolutely, poetry in motion indeed. The Soviet Union then win the international quadruple sculls. Italy are second, and a disappointing third place there for Great Britain. France are fourth. And the overall situation with the 8 to come now, that the Soviet Union have 18 points, 3 points ahead of Great Britain, so a great battle to come later. And with more than 70 events on the Serpentine today, we can have a chance now looking at the men's open singles final. Ralph Thorsen, the famous Norwegian former world champion, he's come through to the final, and he faces very strong opposition indeed. In lane 1, furthest from the camera, Rory Henderson from the Lee Rowing Club, Torson, then Dave Richards from Westminster School, and Julian Scrivener, also from the Lee Rowing Club. So, only 500 metres, and single sculling really is a sensational race over such a short distance. And this is Dave Richards. He's never quite made it to international level, but he's had a couple of wins at Henley, and he really is now taking his chance well in the final. It's been a long, hard fight to qualify for the final today. Elimination races going on since 9 o'clock this morning. And this is Julian Scrivener from the Lee Rowing Club, and his double sculls partner, Rory Henderson, is on the far side of him here. But today, they are in deadly earnest as rivals to try and win this open singles final. And this should be the man who could stop them. This is Ralph Torson from Norway, ex-world champion, perhaps the least famous of the double sculls pairing from Norway. But Alf Hansen never made the final. Hansen, not so good over 500 metres. He likes to come more into his own towards the 2,000 normal distance of this race. But look at this now, over halfway and all four boats neck and neck. What a great final. Scrivener concentrating the occasional glance over to the far side to see where Henderson is. Torson in lane 2, and it looks as though Torson's caught a crab and he's gone out of it. And that's given Henderson clear water in the lead now. Dave Richards is challenging him, but it looks as though Henderson is going to get it. Rory Henderson is the winner. Dave Richards is in second place. Julian Scrivener gets third, and a very unhappy Rolf Torson comes home in fourth place. And here is the official result, in case it's needed, of the men's open final. Rory Henderson from Lee Rowing Club, Dave Richards from Westminster School, and Julian Scrivener, also from Lee, was third.
Rory, congratulations. You seem to enjoy the shorter sprint races.
Thank you, yes, very enjoyable. Always nice to win. I was lucky enough to win in the summer in a short sprint race. It was on TV, and delighted to repeat the performance.
I think a lot of people thought Alf Hansen might end up the winner today.
That's right, yeah. Alf Hansen, elder statesman of rowing, really. He's 40 years old, silver medal in the world this year, past world champion. I think he was a hot favourite, really.
So obviously a boost to you and a boost to your training to win over him and win today.
I think so, yeah. I hope the selectors were watching, and we'll keep plugging away to the Olympics next year. Be good.
And so, with the prospects of the men's international eights still to come, here is the domestic scene with the open eights final, and this should be a very good race indeed. Nearest the camera here, the University of London. Inside them in the orange is the Leander Rowing Club. Then in lane 2, the Imperial College, and on the far right is the London Rowing Club. You may remember the cap that Rodney Bewes was wearing right at the start of our programme. Well, that was the colours of London Rowing Club. Here with the red hair, great prospect for the future, John Holes. He's hoping to break in during the new season for the Olympic team. But it looks to me as though the University of London are already dropping back a little bit. It looks like the red shirts there of Leander, who are making the way up front. They're third from the right of the picture. University of London, they really are the team to beat, because they won the Ladies' Plate at Henley, which is the top club event, where they beat Leander, and now it appears like Leander here are out to take their revenge. Leander in red, pushing clear. The far side of the course on our right is London Rowing Club. University of London are beginning to struggle here. This is Leander. Phil Hubbard at stroke. And at the moment, they are going well clear. This is going to be a good victory here for Leander. They're going clear of the other 3 eights. And so the faces of the University of London now, they're being put a little bit on the rack, although they're fighting back up against Leander, but on the line, Leander take it. University of London are in second place, and one has to say that really is a very good result indeed for the youngsters. Would you agree with me, Martin?
Yes, I certainly would. They'll be thinking that the international selectors will be taking notice of this win. They'll expect to be in the team in the next couple of years. You can see their technique needs improvement. They're a little on the rough side. They should only be burying just the ends of those blades, and the water's coming halfway out the loom. But nevertheless, they've shown they've got a lot of power there for the future.
And so the B squad of the Leander youngsters come top of the pile in the men's Open Eights final, beating the University of London Boat Club. London Rowing Club were third, and the Imperial College Boat Club were fourth. And so to the presentation by John Wilson, chairman of the London Electricity Board, congratulating here the Leander B team. Well, they'll be extremely happy with their performance on the Serpentine. A chance to impress the selectors perhaps for next year's Olympic Games at Seoul. 5 newcomers in this team, and didn't they do well?
A fine sport event.
Well, this is one of the friendly faces on the front of a dragon boat, one of the races that's causing a lot of fun and entertainment and interest here today. With me is Mike Haslam, who organises the dragon boat racings here in this country. Mike, it seems very popular today. What's behind dragon boat racing?
Oh, it goes back 2,000 years to China, and it's developed in the fishing communities. It was really to commemorate a guy that was against the local politicians who were corrupt, and he threw himself into the river to escape, to make a protest, and his friends went and rescued him, banging drums and all the rest of it. From that developed dragon boat racing, and they do it every year to commemorate that occasion.
Certainly, I say a lot of fun and interest today, and the winner of today's event will get going to Hong Kong, is that right?
That's right. The winner of today's event will be sponsored by the Hong Kong Tourist Association to go to Hong Kong next year as the British representatives in the Hong Kong International Racing.
And what sort of chance will they have, do you think?
Well, I don't know. There has been a team going from Britain for the last few years. I think they've made the final a couple of times, but have not yet won. Hopefully we might do better, because this is the first time that we've had a real selection for it. Normally we've just nominated a team. Now there's been 20 crews here racing to have the honour of going, so I think we'll do something better next year.
And just who will have the honour of going to Hong Kong? This is the Dragon Boat final. In lane 1 is Wei, lane 2 is Lincoln, and on the far outside in lane number 3 is the Elmbridge Canoe Club. All these teams coming through a full day of heats and semi-finals to battle out this very nice prize of a trip to Hong Kong next June. 20 paddlers in the boat, 1 on the drum and 1 on the tiller. You can have, of course, fewer if you wish, but you lose a little bit of strength in so doing on the paddles. And the drums may have been used in the old days to frighten away the fish. Now they're beating out the rhythm of the strike. Well, it looks as though Elmbridge have made a very good start on the left. This is Lincoln in the centre, and Lincoln Imps, in fact, were the national champions over 500 metres in 1981. Well into halfway now, and as you can see the man on the tiller here trying to keep the dragon boat on course. And this is an art in itself with all these men on board. They're digging deep in the water now as they go quicker. It takes a lot of strength to hold this boat on a straight course, trying not to do too much work on that tiller, because you lose ground if you do. Lincoln Imps here trying to fight for victory. In the centre of our picture, the far side is Wei. And Elmbridge on the near side seem to have the edge at the moment. Elmbridge coming forward now. In the middle is Lincoln. On the far side is Wei. It looks as though Lincoln's out of it now. It's going to be between Wei and Elmbridge. Elmbridge on the near side. There is a theory that the canoers have the advantage over the rowers in dragon boat racing, and it looks now as though that's being proven to be correct, because on the line, Elmbridge are the winners. Wei will take second, and it looks as though the Lincoln Imps are in all sorts of trouble there. So the men in green win. Elmbridge are the winners. Wei took second place, and the Lincoln Imps were third.
So the members of the Elmbridge Canoe Club received their prizes and trophy from Mrs. Wilson, the wife of the chairman of the London Electricity Board. The happy crew can now look forward to a trip to Hong Kong to represent Great Britain next year. Now on to the climax of the afternoon's racing. The Soviet Union have a 3-point lead over Great Britain. So in this last race, Great Britain must win to ensure at least a tie of the afternoon's event. On their way to the start, the Soviet Union team collided with the Italian team. It meant some quick running repairs. The wrath of the Russian coach was obvious to everyone. Nothing worse, in fact, than a bent rigger. It was all fixed up in a matter of minutes, and the Soviet Union team were off down to the start.
And so to the final event, the blue ribbon of the international racing. The eights and France have drawn lane 1, Great Britain lane 2, Italy in 3, and the Soviet Union in 4. And the Great Britain team here know they really must beat the Soviet Union to stand any chance at all now of winning the overall match. Remember, it's 10 points for victory, 7 for second, 5 and 3. Significantly more than the 5 races already gone. And Russia, by the way, have won 3 to Great Britain's 2. Even that could be taken into consideration if it comes to a dead heat on the match. So all the pressure then on the British boat. They must win this one. The stroke is Stephen Redgrave.
Lights on now! Forward! That's it!
And that quarter of a length does appear to be the British ahead of the Italians, because the Russians are very, very close indeed. There doesn't appear to be anything in it here at all. Redgrave and his crew now having to work very hard. This is the crucial race for them. They must win it. The Russians looking across to the British to see exactly where they are. And stroke for stroke, they're matching them. And the shout there of go for home now by Patrick Sweeney. He's trying to bring the best out of this crew, and they're coming up towards the line now. They have the edge over the Russians, or do they? Because the Soviets are coming back very, very close on the line. Well, just who has got that one?
Deep breathe. Well done, lads, well done. Let the air right down.
Well, the British said, well done, lads. They think they've got it, but looking at the faces here on the Soviet squad, they think they've got it as well. They don't come much closer than that. What a great race it really was, and the Russian team here were racing stroke for stroke with the British boys. And Pat Sweeney really was working hard to get the best out of this crew. They had to win this race, and it's still waiting on the result of the photograph to see if they've done it. Just look at the expressions here on the whole of the British crew. Second place simply not good enough. They need the 10 points for victory to hold any hope at all of final victory overall. The Russian boat there almost slicing through that Canadian goose. And there's the result. The Great Britain 8 have it by the narrowest of margins, and the Russian boat, slightly off course, certainly cost them victory. So that puts them equal on points overall.
Many, many congratulations, Pat. A great end to a great day.
Yeah, very good, very good. It's an enjoyable day. We had touch and go with the Russians in the races, and then in this one it was the same again. So good finale for the whole thing.
You must be the calmest man here. Everybody in the banks thoroughly excited by the result there.
Up there it wasn't about 100 metres to go. It was getting a bit dicey, but everything came right.
Where did you get that extra finish from?
Actually, we had a very good start, and we managed to jump out about half a length. And they were coming back through us, and then I don't know where the guys got it from, but they threw in about 10 just before the line, and it kicked back in again, so it went really well.
Terrific. Very well done. Thanks so much, Pat. And that great finish to the final event of the afternoon meant indeed that the points were tied, Great Britain and Soviet Union sharing 25. The French picked up 11 points and the Italians 14. Now, both the Great Britain team and the Soviet Union team had recorded 3 victories, so the fine Waterford Crystal trophies were shared between the two teams. A traditional ducking brings to an end the City of Westminster Serpentine Regatta. Well, we certainly enjoyed ourselves. I hope you enjoyed being with us. Our thanks to the London Electricity Board for their great support. I hope you continue to enjoy the Christmas season.